I'm going to talk a little about the author of the book, Ray Kurzweil, who was born in New York, specifically in Queens, in the year of 1948. He studied in the MIT, and in that time, he created a computer program that helped to high school students choose a college or to choose the best options that they had to go to the university. And he then he sold this software for $100,000, and it is only while he was studying the university. So it is amazing. In 1987, another company was found, founded by Kurzweil, and this company created the first commercial speech recognition system, and in 1997 was sold to a concert that later collaborated with the Microsoft Corporation to market speech recognition software for personal computers. And since 2012, he has been director of engineering at Google. All of this data tell us that he's an extremely important person who not only knows everything about computers, but also is a visionary about the role that the machines will play in our daily lives in the coming years. At the beginning of the book, something very interesting is mentioned, and in my opinion, that is a key to understand the topic that is taught during the rest of the book. This definition is the genetic code of the evolutionary process of the technology. The book mentions that this refers to the ability of the human to develop new technologies. It started with the stone tools in the prehistoric, and after of this, with the creations of the paper, I think it was in China, and finally with the technologies that currently are being using or we use in our daily lives. And this make me think how it made me think about how the human have this difference with other animals, because over the years we have a need to make our lives easier. In the past, it was with hunting tools to obtain some food or another things from the animals, and today it is with devices that are like personal assistants, and these devices can do almost anything for you. One example or some examples of this situation is the Alexas, or is the Google Chrome, or it is the smartwatches or some cell phones that these devices can do a lot of things for you. Another interesting aspects that I think is the basis of the book analysis is the cycle of the technology. The book mentions that it begins with imagine something that may be impossible, like Leonardo da Vinci or Galileo Galilei did in their time, with the helicopter or with the planes or another this type of devices, that it was like a dream. And or the second step is making these dreams come true, and later improve these devices or these devices, and make them easier to use every day. An example of this, of all of this cycle, is the laptops. In the past, nobody could imagine that each person had a computer. Later, they were invented, but they were too big and too heavy. And today, these laptops are very thin and very light. So I think this is the best example for this cycle. In the following parts of the book, different technologies related to computers or robotics are mentioned. However, two parts or two issues caught my attention. The similar aspects that we have with the computers and the differences that until today make us different from any machine. Kurzweil mentions that the human brain is like a computer with approximately 100 billion of neurons and with an average of 1,000 connections per neuron. There is a total of 100 trillion connections. It is amazing. It's like a supercomputer. And I don't know a lot about computers or these kind of things, but I doubt that any computer can make this number of processes in the time that our brain works. Um, because our brain works every day and every time, and it reactions from when you touch something like that it is hot to to more specific process, like when you have feelings. These feelings are based on certain connections that our brain makes. For example, when you fall in love, when you are very angry, or when you are very sad, all of these feelings are product of brain processes. Of course, it is a more complex processes, and it implicates more things, but we can name it like a brain processes or the product of brain processes. And this is precisely the difference between us and machines. We are able to feel and we are able to have critical thoughts to make certain decisions. It is true that perhaps we are conditioned with some behaviors that our parents taught us during the childhood, but all of us, at least one time, we have made decisions based on our own thinking, on our feelings, or yeah, or feelings or thinking at least once in the life. So I think this is the most uh, remarkable differences between us and the machines. And another question that it is very interesting to me, and I have been reflecting on this question, is how the technology has been changing different aspects for us. In the past, we saw the technology as something that, only for scientists or for millionaires. And today, the major part of the people have an electronic devices that help us to perform or to make an action more easily. We we said some examples with the some examples with the smartwatches or the Alexas or something like that. However, in my opinion, nothing in the world is perfect because the development of different devices or applications have changed our way of communicating with each other. Face-to-face conversations are less, and people now judge you by the number of likes that you have on Instagram or the number of followers that you have on the another social media. And as Ray mentions in the book, In the future, sexual relations will be done virtually. And in other words, we are forgetting of the human contact, and we only meet the persons in basis of the face or the actions that they are in the social media, but we don't know the inside of the people, and we don't know, or we don't meet this face, or we don't know this face or these sides of the persons, and these little things that makes them unique and different from each other. And this is precisely what, in my opinion, is going to happen with the new metaverse. People are going to be too busy meeting new people and places in this virtual world, that we are going to forget about our parents, or our friends, or close friends, or friends, or pets, inclusive, or pets. And in other words, the metaverse will be the new drug of the society, because you will enter and you will forget all your problems that you have outside. And it is good, and this can have benefits, but it can also be bad for us, because the real problems will continue to be there. The wars will continue, the poverty, the environmental damage, the violence, etc., etc. And I think this is one bad aspect of this new metaverse, or this concept of the metaverse. The last part of the book was the most interesting, because the author wrote the book in the 1999, and it describes a future very similar with the one that we are currently living. Chips and cables are in the major part of the devices that we use every day. And until now, we are not living the situation where people have chips inserted into their brains. Well, only Elon Musk did it with a pig, but every day we see a near future where companies have access to our minds, or where robots are a member more of the family. And this situation reminds me of the movie I, Robot. And 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 the book, and this book has an ending like that movie, where humans are so familiar with robots that they started to see them as people, even as a son or a father, or something like that. However, like in the major part of the movies or series, the robots take on a life of their own and attack people. In this movie, the protagonist was Will Smith, and he was the only who believed that the robots were bad. Nobody believed him, but he knew it was true. And the end of the film, he discovers that effectively he was right, because the robots tried to kill him. um, and these situations, it's provoked because a software, it was a central software that controls everything, had taken life of its own, and planned to attack, to attack the humans, or inclusive kill them. I don't remember, but these situations, it was provoked because a robot had taken life of its own. Another example that comes to my mind, it is an episode of The Simpsons, in which they turn their house into a smart home with a software, but this software takes life of its own. It is another situation, we are very similar situations, and it fall in love with Marge and try to kill Homer.
Hombre uno, máquina cero. ¿Qué les parece la notación?
To conclude, I think we should be very careful with the power that we give to the new technologies. It may seem or it may sound like paranoid, but I think there should always be a barrier that separates humans from machines. Technology can be very useful to us for various things, and the development of these technologies, of course, have a lot of benefits for us, but we don't must to involucrate in a 100% in a technology world, because we will to forget our real world and the what that we have been for millions of years, humans. So I think it is the very important message, the more important message of this book, and this is my opinion about this. We don't know must to forget that we are humans and not involucrate in all of our lives into the new technologies.